Okay. So to recap, today we'll be going over regex. Can everybody in remote hear?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Okay, so regex is character matching. It's just matching patterns inside of strings. And instead of writing a whole fancy algorithm in whatever language you're using, you can use a little short statement that will match characters in a string. OneMainFinancial.com. And I'm going to check for authors here. So when you make a website, you're going to have to get user input, and you're going to make a form. And to check to make sure that you have the kind of input that you want, you have to check somehow that it's correct. When you go on the internet and you fill out a form, you see that there's checks put in place. And what's going on behind here, this is HTML, but behind the scenes, you have regex. You have character matching and checking to see if a string is what you want it to be. Now, regular expressions, they do differ from language to language, but they're more or less the same. It's kind of sad with a name like regular expressions. You would think that they would be the same across the board, but they're a little different. So you have to find the language. This one's for Ruby, but they're about the same. So let's say we're trying to write an algorithm or an expression that checks to see if there's phone numbers, if these are valid phone numbers. So there's a number of ways to write phone numbers. I could put a space. Or a dot. What are some other ways? I think
you put a plus number.
Plus 1. So the tricky thing about user input is users will put in the strangest things, and you have to be prepared for anything. They could literally put anything in there, and your app can't blow up. So what we want is we want the numbers. So when you take in a string, let's say you consider this valid and you consider this valid as well as user input. What you want to put in your database is just the numbers without any of the extra stuff. So looking at this block here, how could we just get the numbers? You want to see anything?
Oh, you just want the numbers?
The numbers? Yeah.
Digit? Any digit? What does that mean?
Any,
Yeah.
8 is
Slash B or backslash B.
backslash B.
Oh, we're talking about
Any word boundary. Oh, backslash delta. Oh, that gave some numbers. That gave every number. Now what if I had an invalid number that was just too long.
How many do you
So
want?
\B, curly bracket 9.
There we go.
Curly bracket 9. So what curly bracket 9 did is it got exactly 9 of any digit. 1 comma 9. Oh, someone's played with regex before. There's this space here. So 1 comma 9, what does that mean? Between 1 and 9 of any digit. Now, this though, it looks like it cut it in half. It cut it into pieces here. It got 9 here, and then it got 3. Let's see. How will we match just the number?
Parentheses, B bracket.
Parentheses. So for this one, I'm trying to get just.
I'm trying to strip off the leading one and exactly 10 digits.
Scoop off the leading one. How will we scoop off something?
To capture everything.
So I see this one. That's except. But then it would look. So your challenge today is actually going to be this. Okay, let's go to an easier. Let's do social security numbers. All right, somebody tell me their social security number.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
Dash.
4,
4, 5.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
That's pretty close to that.
nice.
That's
one.
my social. What are you talking about? Does everybody have the same social security number?
So how will we match this?
So first,
It's /D, /D,
What was that?
I don't know.
three /Ds, and then you're gonna have to
3,
count
4,
for the dash.
D?
No, /D, and then another
Forward
/D.
/ D.
Every digit.
If that's already a forward, then just a D and then forward.
Yeah, and then 9.
Something like that. It's gonna be like a /D, 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 and then count for the dash, and then all the way through. So 9 Ds.
9 Ds. 7. No matches.
But you have to count for the dashes.
Wow. You do brackets.
Yeah, bracket dash.
The bracket dash. Where? Up here?
Wherever the dashes are, up in the regular expression
So
line.
First 3.
So D, 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 curly bracket after
Curly
the third D.
Dash?
Curly bracket or just bracket?
Square bracket?
I think there's square bracket and then dash.
Dash.
And then 2 more.
And over here?
No, one.
Oh,
After the second D, But just sort of mirror the same as the phone number pattern.
So that's a dash.
And then
I'm
forward slash
need
forward
that.
slash D forward slash D.
And then D, D, another dash. D, 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 D. So you see that one thing regular expressions all share in common is these forward slashes. These forward slashes denote the beginning and the end of the regular expression. Some of you saw this yesterday. I think it was with JavaScript. There was a replace. Okay, so there was a replace method. So if I had some kind of string, and they were trying to replace all the spaces inside this string, like taking out all the places. They were trying to replace it with an empty string.
It wasn't just that; it was also punctuation.
Okay, and capitalization
So,
and
like,
everything.
a man was enunciating animal.
And they had something like this. Replace a space with an empty string. And it didn't do what it would in Python. It did this. It just took the first thing and then it exited out. So I told him to go on Stack, well, not go on Stack Overflow, but do a search, specifically move all spaces from a string in JS. There's a trim, but here's the first link, Stack Overflow. And the answer had this, and this syntax looked really weird to them. But now we know this is just a regular expression, and all it has in it is one space. G will replace it globally. So if we do this, we should get, yay. Now, I'm also supposed to go over today destructive versus non-destructive methods and functions. Michael, do you know what those are? Non-destructive versus
destructive.
Yes, non-destructive.
Violence, like it's intelligence,
Violence.
like it's something I would
It
do
is
that to
kind
screw
of
up
violent.
everything. Destructive methods would be something that hurts something else. So
Okay.
execute some method that hurts somebody, some other part of the code that's attached to it.
Not hurt, but
So
Marcos-
something that actually makes a change to the original string versus something that actually like outputs a copy of the string with the changes.
okay, so Marcos got it. It's destructive. Destructive is when a method will change the original string. So in this case, whatever it's being called on, we have to find out if it's destructive or not. If I say my string, will it have spaces or will it not? That's the question.
It will not.
It will.
Or one doesn't return the value. So
It is. It does. This one is not non-destructive.
Yeah, I've seen those.
It did not do violence to the string.
I've found a few of those versions.
And it's really important to know which is which, and you'll have to look it up to find out, or just test it. But what you don't want to do is accidentally change something that you didn't want to change.
What about what John just asked?
Oh, what'd you ask?
Because you assign it to a separate variable.
Oh, well, assigning it to a separate variable is not going to change whether it's destructive or not. Assigning to a variable, if you assign it to a variable, it'll still run this code. So if we do have a destructive method like pop, let's say,
Delete those.
and I say my array.pop without setting it to a variable, it's going to pop the last thing off, and then now my array has been changed. So this is a destructive method. Pop is destructive.
So you can't use destructive methods on constant variables?
On constant
Like if
variable.
you go const my array, what happens when you pop it?
The answer is let's see. Because technically, object, rather than moving through, you're not changing the object.
Okay, and
Oh, okay.
so the array still had the pop function as one of its properties, even though it was a constant.
What do you,
Now,
when it doesn't actually, you can't set it to a variable when you change it?
right, setting it to the variable.
So you can't assign it to a variable, but it still changes it. You
Um,
can't, where you said before, you put it to where's that there, without spaces.
So a little bit of clarification about why that works.
Why that works?
Yeah, so because an object isn't the contents of the object, it's a pointer to where the object sits in memory. So popping changes the information in memory, but doesn't change where the object points to.
So
It's a very subtle distinction, but
it's getting to, like, I don't know if we're getting to a pass by value versus pass by reference, but essentially it's strings and numbers pass by value, so that the numbers stay in memory at all times. So whether or not you change like the variable, you assign the variable to another variable, that's a number. It's going to pass the value. Arrays and objects is passed by reference, which is it points to the location in the memory of where the variable
which is also why, like, if you're trying to make a copy of an object, you have to use specialized methods to deep copy it, because when you use the equality operator, all that does is make another object that points to the same location in memory.
Did the remote students catch that? Some of it? Draw a picture of it? Of the memory? Okay, so the reason that this works is because it didn't change the reference. We didn't create a new value to store and a new memory address. We just modified the old one. So someone asked earlier if this would still be destructive, and it is. Even if you set it to a variable, this pop will still run on my array.
So what is A?
What does A equal?
Yeah. Oh, 8 equals the order of
The thing that was popped off. Okay. So just be careful. It would be nice if there was some syntactical, sometimes with a bang, if you write your own functions and methods, if you put a exclamation mark, that will tell people that it's destructive. But there's no way to know, and you have to just find out which ones are and which ones aren't. So back to regex. I think we got. If I want to match both, a question mark operator, which is here, 0 or 1 of A.
So if it's there or not, you can either have it there or if it's not there. What if you
0
do
or
one
1?
dash, but in that same like one and one of the spots? Like if you do 1, 2, 3 dash, and then you do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's still a match.
That would still match.
So it would just 1 or 2.
Even 0 or 1.
Yeah, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then dash.
But you can see how shorthand this is and how much work it would take to actually parse through a string in whatever language you're using and say, oh, if there's 1 or more of this character, this makes it a lot easier. So this will walk you through some destructive versus non-destructive here and some regular expressions in Python, these examples. But what I want to show you is regex 1 here. This is a good, we'll walk through some together. This is a good, these are each challenges that you have to complete. And let's get started. Emily, you want to give this one a shot? So pretend that there's a backslash before and after this input, or a forward slash. There's 2 forward slashes already.
So we just want to match the letters, is that what that's saying?
Yeah, we want to match all 3 of these.
Oh,
All 3 of these here.
so like just the A through C?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so bracket A through C, A dash C.
Bracket A dash C.
Does that work?
That
or just
works.
bracket A, B, C, since there's only 3 of them.
So it's only matching A.
The bracket, everything in bracket will match the first character.
So that's just something to do with the bracket.
A dash C.
A dash C
Bracket A dash C. Bracket in brackets.
in brackets.
In brackets. Guess that doesn't work.
So check,
A
so it's
dash
also
C
not
still.
working.
Bracket A dash, curly bracket.
So it's looking for 1 character. When you have a bracket, it's only looking for 1. So if I say,
But it has ABC right up there in the lesson notes.
Only
Yeah,
A,
it is.
or C, or C.
so here,
Uh,
where's my mouse?
You start off with W.
Yeah,
So-
can you do W comma 3?
W comma 3
Or sorry, backslash W comma 3.
backslash.
Or get rid of everything you got there.
Uh-huh. backslash W,
Then comma.
comma, 3.
It doesn't work, huh? Hmm.
Backslash
And
W,
alphabetical.
curly brackets,
Oh, you need to throw it
backslash W,
Curly
curly brackets, 3, 5.
So here's it may so we did match when we typed A, we did match all of them. There's a green check mark. But for these I think it adds a little spice and challenge if you try and match green, make them all green.
Can you just do
ABC
and then dot.
dot dot.
I was just wondering what that sometimes look it says letters.
Mhm.
All letters there.
All letters. The syntax.
How about just backslash big W,
Backslash big W.
capital W, I guess.
Backslash big W.
And then,
Oh, so these are actually the names of the challenges. These aren't
Okay, that's fine.
as great a guide.
Oh, you said it's a
You'll wanna read up here.
And then read below as well.
So let's see. Let me try. So dot is any character. So I'm gonna say dot from. This is a little cheap, but 3, 2, 6. Wait. Oh, comma. So that matched any character, or I could do A through G. Okay, let's try the next one. So 1, 2, 3s. Take a little bit to read it, and whoever speaks up first. Let's have one of the remote students. Harley?
I'm still reading.
Are you still reading?
Mhm.
So one important thing is your pattern matches anywhere within the string, not just starting at the beginning. So what they want here is a match on all 3.
So it should be digits.
Were you just grabbing the digits one?
You just do backslash.
Backslash D, backslash. So just grab the 1, 2, 3, and then
Sure.
if we're not grabbing anything else.
Backslash D.
D, backslash D, like 3 times.
And we got the numbers. Okay. We could have just,
There's not, is there a way that it doesn't have to be \c backslash? We do like \d
brackets.
brackets 3.
It'd be curly brackets,
Yeah.
3.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Last one. This one has a skip. We don't want to match this one. We only want to match these.
So just a dot.
Just a dot.
No, not like that. I mean, we just need to get rid of the period.
So how do we pick the period? Because the period means any character.
No, that's you just put it in brackets, period.
Put it in brackets.
Period 3.
Oh.
Oh, so period.
Or actually,
Oh, yeah.
You could also escape it with a backslash, but it looks like the bracket lets them know it's an explicit period.
So it's just dot \d \t dot escapes out for the skips out for the second.
What was that?
Sorry, just dot.
Everything that's in that.
But like I said, I like
Okay.
highlighting it all green. It'll get a little challenging towards the end, but it'll get you a primer on Regex.
Can you do?
Oh.
Never mind, I'm sorry.
No, go.
We're still
go
working
ahead.
on that one. How about $, $, then dot?
$dot.
Maybe that was- Okay, my apologies. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's dot $.
Dot. $.
Well, that doesn't work. Sorry, I got excited. Thought I understood it, but
It's good. Regex is really, really powerful and useful.
I have no further interruptions.
Okay. So today you have, aside from Regex 1, you have a bunch of reading you can do. This is the one challenge for today. It's kind of involved, but we do have a spec already written. And you're just gonna go one by one through the test and make each one pass. So when you have a bad number, you should return a bad number because it has these X's instead of numbers, so on and so forth. So each one is gonna require some regex. And then we have, I think already. Stock picker. So this is a fun one. It's not regex, it's more algorithms, but you're gonna have an array of prices. And you wanna write an algorithm that looks back in time and figures out when the best time to buy and sell would be. So what will be the highest profit? For this one, let's see, I think it would be buying at 3 and selling at 15. You can't sell before you buy. You can't short stocks here. Just buying and then selling. What is the highest profit? And one last thing, this has been sitting in my notes for a while. It's like forever ago, but there was a day we were talking about copyright concerns, and I cracked a joke about affording a lawyer. That wasn't to say that it's not a concern, and I'll give you guys some kind of prize if you can tell me how to get around this one. There's an algorithm out there that looks like it was funded by taxpayer money, but is owned by some sort of corporate entity. And for a side project of mine, I would love to just take this algorithm and use it. But when I try, you can access the algorithm. However, if you use it, you have to pay them. You have to pay them, which is so unfair. This is clearly funded by taxpayer money. It's very nice. It calculates the position of the sun.
So that we can
Yeah, you can position solar panels, or like I'm trying to make a heliostat. It's like a mirror that reflects it. But this is a wonderful thing that you have to pay for if you want to use commercially. But yeah, if someone can find a way around that. Rewrite it, probably. But that's it.
Oh, yeah?
Really short.
Somebody's
That's your
feeling
day.
confident today.
Um,
All that energy.
we'll come back. What time do you want to come back to go over something from yesterday? Whenever. Let's take a break until 9:15. And 15 after, you guys can work on the Regex 1, that Regex 1 thing that we all started together. And we'll come back and which recursion challenge you want to go over?
Roman numerals. Yeah, I'd like to see Roman numerals.
Yeah,
Roman
I
numerals.
will, yeah, that sounds like a good one. I saw a lot of differences in those.
That one's kind of what
Roman numerals. I thought you guys got it
We
yesterday.
got it, we
We
just
got it.
prints twice.
It's twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better than that price at all.
All right. Sounds good. Be back 15 after.
Hey, Mark, did you figure that one out?
I'm trying to figure out the syntax on it, but I understand what you're saying. So
Okay.